Before we wrap up with our regular top 5, our resident game reviewer Grant takes a look at Mad Max the game.
Although released as a standalone from its theatrical counterparts, Mad Max the video game can't escape comparison to Mad Max the film. Originally, the distance from the latest Mad Max movie was stressed because developers Avalanche Studios didn't want people to think of the game as they did many other film-to-game productions, on par with keychains, t-shirts, and other cheesy paraphernalia as second-rate attempts at grabbing what money they can from fans.
You begin with nothing. Your car, your family, your life. Everything has been taken from you. Now all that's left is your will to survive.
However, now that both film and game have both been released, the difference between them is driven less by plot than it is by example of what could have been had developers done what they originally feared to do: draw inspiration from Fury Road. The game's story begins after an action-packed cut sequence leaves the protagonist, Max Rokitansky, worse off for an encounter with post-apocalyptic wasteland troublemakers, the War Boys. Without supplies or transport, Max begins his search for his stolen goods, famed V8 Interceptor among them, in order to continue his mysterious journey to the Plains of Silence. Before long, Max meets the charmingly named Chumbucket, a gifted mechanic on a religious quest to build the wasteland's best, most powerful vehicle, the Magnum Opus. The two set out together on a mission to fulfill their individual goals, and so starts a player's journey of collecting scrap to upgrade their ride for better chances of survival in the game's many car battles. Apart from these battles, which make up the title's central focus, players keep busy with finding scarce resources like food and water, raiding enemy outposts, and completing races and time trials, amongst other things. Although the game seems set for greatness and there are a lot of good qualities about it, its flaws are hard to ignore. The missions, which are initially engaging, quickly become repetitive. Now, repetitive gameplay can be done right, as Far Cry 3 and 4 have shown us, but the missions in Mad Max seem less committed to fun and more focused on trying to fill the colossal in-game map with things to do. And while the film kept our attention in a way Michael Bay never could, the game will bore and frustrate players not keen on its heavy reliance on realism. Repairing your car and foraging for food can get stale fast. The film also wins in terms of plot, where Mad Max the game introduces some interesting but ultimately one-dimensional supporting characters and a predictable plot that does nothing to address recent debates in the industry. Ultimately, fans of the film series are likely to find a lot to love from the game, but there is little to push those on the fence between Mad Max and other 2015 game season favorites, like Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain. After all is said and done, the verdict is in, and the best of Mad Max is still to be found on Blu-ray.